This is your invitation to Launchpreneur Academy Live 2023 in Novi, Michigan, Saturday, November 11th. The lineup is power-packed. You won't want to miss it. Learn from incredible speakers like Leroy Maines, Keith Kalfas, Caleb and Brittany Allman, Sam Gimble, Weston Zimmerman, and Jeff Joyner, just to name a few. Tickets are on sale now at the early bird registration price of $197. And hurry, because seating is limited to just 300. Once you purchase your ticket, you'll be added to our private Facebook group where you can network with other attendees, get access to the discounted hotel room block, and get the inside scoop for the Friday night party, brought to you by Kohler. Thank you to this year's sponsors, Xmark, Sure Track Trailers, Yard Book, and Boss Snowplow for helping to bring this incredible event to life. We can't wait to see you November 11th, Novi, Michigan, at Launchpreneur Academy Live 2023. Get your ticket today at LaunchpreneurAcademy.com or use the link in the podcast description. Launchpreneur Academy Live.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, super excited about having another great podcast guest lined up for you guys. We have so many folks over the last couple of weeks and plenty more coming down the pike. Always love hearing the different backgrounds, the different startup stories, the different conversations that we have with all of you guys that are growing along in the landscape company. Today's conversation is going to be a little bit more unique. Somebody that's coming from the landscape design side and architecture side. And I'm really, really excited about kind of opening up a couple different conversations here with my friend James. So James, good morning, brother. How you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
Good, man. Good. Just the guys are out and about mowing. Helped them get out the gate this morning, visiting them at the lockers. And then it's been nothing but coaching calls, conference calls, and working on snow. It's the same conversation, man, locking all that snow money down. So how about you?
That's great. Love to hear the multitasking. You're a busy guy. Yeah, so I'm just wrapping up my season. I got about a day and a half more of work before I go back to my junior year of college. So, down to the wire with getting jobs done, and about to start up another great year of school. Absolutely, man.
So where are you coming from school-wise? You said you're over in, UMass Landscape Architecture. Where is that at? Where are you guys at?
Yeah, so UMass Amherst, it's a Massachusetts state school. I'm out of state, but, it's a great program there. Studying landscape architecture. I'm going to be a junior, so kind of got through the rut the first 2 years with, all the gen eds and all that lovely stuff. So getting into more design-based classes, and, so far so good.
That's awesome. Now, are you from Albany or are you from Mass? Well, just help me out really quick.
Yeah, so I'm from upstate New York, outside of the city of Albany, right inside of Delmar, a little township right outside of Albany.
Okay, cool. I was just over there about a month ago with Tom Maggs with Maggs Landscape. Did you happen to see that podcast interview and video?
Yeah. I actually tried reaching out to him because I saw his story. I follow him on my landscape page. He had a video of you walking around a shop, and I was like, texted him immediately when I saw, let me come meet this guy. I'm looking forward to this. And I sadly never got to hear back. So I'm sorry.
No, he'll just shoot
it's
him.
All good. It's all good.
I was say shoot him a text. I'm sure he'll get back with you. I shot him a text 2 days ago, and it took him 2 days to get back with me as well. We were lining up some stuff for Equip Expo. And so Tom, if you're listening in, check your messages, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just kidding. He's going, people say I go 100 miles an hour. When we were there, I was like, hey man, I hate to be, short and sweet in and out, but he's like, actually, bro, that's totally fine. He goes, I've got a bunch of stuff to get moving and bids to get out, and he's got almost $1 million plus operation going on. So
crazy, crazy.
Yeah, the dude's busy, but you guys will connect. I'm sure it's just a matter of time. But dude, that's a beautiful area, no doubt about it. And it seems to be quite a few of you guys that listening to the show are out in the greater Albany, New York area, which is super cool. I had literally no less than a half dozen guys say, dude, I'm 10 minutes down the road, 5 minutes down the road, up the road, should have swung by. And, I don't know. It's not like I get feedback on the profile of where you guys are all listening from. So I apologize. I'd love to hang out, but you just never know. Like next time I cut through Chicago, I'm like, well, hey, I'll have to announce it, and we'll go get a couple dozen of us at Buffalo Wild Wings or something, But that's awesome, man. Well, let's do this. Let's zoom out really quick on today's show, because we're gonna hear from today's show sponsors and announcements in just a quick second. But the reason having you on the show today is you had DM'd me back and forth on Instagram, and we had a couple good messages and conversations back and forth. And what did you want to share about today with architecture and landscape, and some different approaches mentally that people can have for their lawn and landscape company? I want to just give you open mic. What is the agenda for today, brother? Yeah.
So basically, I kind of started just like most of these young, entrepreneurs, starting out mowing lawns, and then, transition into the landscape stuff. Once you get your license, you can get a trailer and some mowers and get a bigger route. And I was kind of, with COVID and that stuff, I was a junior and I was approaching towards the engineering major. And then I told myself, I'm doing so successful with this, lawn care thing. I should try to transition towards like the landscape design. And landscape architecture is such a niche, like, scope of the landscape industry that it's really a crucial point for all these, younger entrepreneurs to try to look into if, they're wanting to pursue college or a degree that is similar to what they've been doing, the majority of their childhood.
That's awesome. Absolutely. I 100% would love to dive into this conversation more. This is going to be fun. My older brother actually went to school for architecture and design, and a minor in history, a minor in philosophy, like super smart dude. And then I had a really good conversation. I think his name is Doug, but I can't say for sure. He's one of Troy Clogg's guys. And when I was there one time doing a shop tour with Troy, it was about a 15, 20-minute window where I had to wait for Troy. He was in another meeting with some other great folks, which we plan on having on the podcast and YouTube channel this fall. Whole nother little tease there for another time. But in the meantime, Doug was there, and we just had a great conversation. And I believe, if that's his name, he's one of the great landscape architect kind of design guys over there with Troy's people. And I was showing him some ideas, for my backyard one day, grand oasis. And he just like is nodding and smiling, and he's like, dude, we can do all of it, man. He goes, I love it. Love the ideas, and design photos really, really help with painting the vision. So this is going to be a fun conversation, man. I'm really looking forward to it. And you're in the thick of it. You're going through it. So I'd love to hear some more things that you're going to be weighing in on the show today. Let's do this really quick though. Before we do that, as you guys all know, we do have bills to pay. We have Mr. Producer. We have the overhead. These microphones do not cost, $2. They cost $200. And so we got show overhead. We've got a podcast that we do run for profit. We're still entrepreneurs here. We're still capitalists, and we do run this thing for profit. As much as it's pretty much a free show for all of you guys listening in, we do want to make sure that we do thank the show sponsors for supporting the show, because when we go on tour, folks, and we bring you guys these podcast episodes, we got a bunch of great stuff coming down the pike, even at Equip Expo. Some real-time boots on the ground podcast episodes. Those take time. They take money to produce, to lug this stuff around. And so, as you guys know, we appreciate the sponsors that support the show. And if you guys can reciprocate, giving them a high five anytime you see them at a trade show or at a conference, and let them know that you heard them on Fullerton Unfiltered, and super appreciate them support what we're doing so we can bring this content to you guys. That would be super awesome, and we just genuinely, sincerely appreciate that. So let's do this really quick. We're going to hear from today's show sponsors and announcements, and then we're going to come right on back.
Early bird registration ends September 7th. Start planning today to celebrate the 40th Equip Exposition Trade Show this October 17th through the 20th in Louisville, Kentucky. Expo is the best place for landscapers to find the latest equipment, tools, and technology to get more productive and efficient. And then you can go into our 30-acre demo yard and test the products for yourself. Explore new business opportunities in one of our 50-plus education sessions and learn firsthand from experts in landscaping, hardscaping, irrigation, pool installation, tree care, and outdoor lighting. And don't miss the new Thursday night arena concert with Third Eye Blind and Dylan Scott. Also, there's our UTV test track and our main stage events with top-notch speakers like Brian Fullerton, all for just $25 per person if you register during our early bird sale. And you can even save 50% off that price with the coupon code BRIAN. The early bird registration ends September 7th.
All right, guys, well, we're going to jump right back into it here, hanging out with my boy, James Waltson here. So, James, I want to go back to talking about your background. You said you were doing lawn care and landscaping, and you said you saw this as a really cool potential career opportunity. Also going for engineering. What kind of engineering, by the way? Like mechanical, electrical?
So, yeah, I was going to try to, my father, he owns a construction company. I've been in the field of construction growing up my whole life.
Okay.
Helping them out. And I was really interested in, the designing of buildings and architecture and how things are designed and built structurally. So I was really trying to pursue towards a more broader spectrum of engineering, civil, which covers 1,000 different topics. And I was looking to go to a bunch of schools, around the Boston area, a little farther upstate New York. Spectrum was pretty wide on where I was looking, but
sure.
A couple schools I had in mind was landscape architecture schools, like environmental schools only. There's one called SUNY ESF through Syracuse University, and there's another one, UMass Amherst, and this is a huge school, two completely different schools in size. And I was really on the fence with it, kind of didn't like it. You know what they always say, the weather that you go to on that school kind of depicts whether you want to go or not.
Okay.
It was
That's good.
and cold and sucked. That day I went to a tour, but it was great.
Wow.
So, and I was happy I made that decision because it's a great school.
What stopped you from going into more of civil engineering with your dad's construction company, or civil engineering, or designing buildings and skyscrapers? I mean, there's always a forever need for that stuff as well. Did you just find more passion in the lawn and landscape, or more rewarding, or what's the thought there?
Yeah. So basically, when I was in my junior year in high school and COVID hit, I had so much free time on my hands. School was online. You could basically just clock into Zoom and go back to sleep. It was that kind of laid back.
Sure.
And I took that as an opportunity to, go work, make some money, so I can, save up for more equipment and kind of try to build a business a little bit more. And summer was coming around the corner. I mean, not too much, but, it was late March when, everything shut down, and I was kind of just falling back on, learning, math and science on a more, one-on-one level. It was kind of over Zoom, and I was kind of losing interest in, all the math and science, and all this landscaping was really interesting me. And I was learning so much, on a small level, but I was really interested in the design aspect, because I had a lot of people approach me like, hey, can you design some little, gardening project or some little front yard planting project? And I had no clue what names of plants were, what plants worked in certain zones, what ground cover to use, what kind of hardscape material to use, what lighting to use. And I was completely puzzled. And from, that moment on, I realized, I don't know why I'm kind of focusing towards a completely different aspect of construction when I'm so interested in the landscape designing, industry. And, towards the end of high school, I was narrowing it down, and I chose landscape architecture because it worked out so well with my, my interests and my hobbies on the side of school.
That's awesome. That's actually really, really cool, man. And I'm sure a lot of guys might even have that fork in the road too. Some of the younger guys that are listening into the program, where, and again, I've never been a bash college kind of guy. A lot of people are like, man, Fullerton, I know you don't like college. No. I don't like the hustle, the scam of college, of, youth paying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference, folks.
100%.
Yeah. It's like, oh, so you're down on education? And I'm like, no. I said, I'm the biggest self-help junkie of education you've ever met in your entire freaking life. I mean, that's my saving grace, was a $15 Dale Carnegie or $20 John Maxwell book, and hundreds and hundreds of other books that I've read. So I'm not down on I'm not down on education, just like I'm not down on college. What I'm down on the college experience is you paying $75,000 for a business degree, and the mean salary is $42,000, and back in 1985 it was $45,000. And college back in the day was $1,500. Today it's $100,000. Like, the ROI is just not there. And by the way, if you want to go to school and party and drink and pick up chicks and go burn couches like Michigan State style, that's fine, bro. Like, my younger brother did that experience. Brandon Bull, we just had him on a week or two ago. But I will tell you, and he will tell you, like, his college or his education experience didn't start necessarily at college. It started in the real world. And it was all book learning theory, type stuff. And they were, digesting businesses from 20, 30 years ago and stuff that just wasn't applicable to the real world. So like, that's why I wanted to press in a little bit more. I'm like, what made you change your mind? Cause you're probably in the thick of it. Were you cutting grass too, or just doing landscaping? And is that how it kind of spurred the passion and the interest there?
Yeah. So when I first started, I was probably 10 years old, and my neighbor approached me like, "Hey, like I just got a full, side yard planting done, and my lawn care guy can't finish his 0-turn mower, a couple passes around it." And he said, pass it to your neighbor who's, been 7 years old mowing the lawn. And I, started picking up lawn mowing gigs, for my neighbors.
Okay.
I am forever in debt to them because they kind of helped me push my career path on a more serious note. And I did a lot of lawn care stuff. And then, I transitioned towards, more landscape, stuff that kids can handle and, don't have a lot of overhead, and like mulching, trimming, small plantings, rock jobs, stuff that you can do in a day and make a crap ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I am completely 100% with you. My parents are probably going to listen to this and they're not going to be happy with me saying this, but I constantly tell them that the way that I'm learning at school is 100% more beneficial than the kids who are, using ChatGPT to pursue their business degrees, and they're blowing so much money and they're partying and that stuff. And, not to disagree on it, but it's a lot of fun. And, I encourage people to have fun. I probably have to have more fun. But at the end of the day, like, it's up to you on how you want to put, college, in your own hands. Like, if you want to work your tail end off, or you just kind of want to slack off. And
right.
I'm happy I'm pursuing a hands-on career because I'm constantly in the studio, designing landscapes. Like, me and my friends were saying, my major, we're literally there at midnight, like 24/7, while all these kids you can hear outside are just partying. And, while in the, the beginning, the present moment of it, it kind of sucks. It's going to pay off in the end because we're going to go into a more applied industry that's constantly changing, especially with the software. I mean, I can't even tell you and express how much it's changing, like on a year-to-year basis. Like, it comes to the point where like professors are confused on how to do certain designings because all this AI coming out and this, better pixelated software. Like, don't get me wrong. I also tell my parents this. It's frustrating to see that happen where your professor's having a hard time teaching you. But at the end of the day, like, being like a good learner on how to adapt to changes with software can, pay off in the end, like, crucially.
Dude, that's a huge resume builder, whether you want to, sell a customer on going with you, or you want to sell a company on hiring you. If you want to work, at some regional $20-50 million company and be one of their 6-figure on staff landscape design architects for their commercial sites. I mean, that's awesome that if you're that, on top of technology and cutting edge and for all the different things you just listed out. In fact, side note, I went to Xmark HQ just a couple of weeks ago, and I asked Lenny that. I said, so what's your passion? You've been doing this for 25 plus years, I think it was, at Xmark. I said, what still keeps you going? And he said, it's just the crazy technology that's getting incorporated into the green industry in the last, handful of years. That
crazy.
Yeah, dude, he was talking from EFI, forgive me, folks. Lenny is like a nerd with engineering. He's a very, very smart dude. I have the utmost respect for him. I was watching Lenny's videos 13 years ago. We were joking when he had a lot more red hair. Now it's all grayed out, and, but he's a great dude. A lot of you guys know Lenny Magnol, utmost respect for that dude. But he's like, Brian, he goes, what keeps me going is like the battery stuff, all the different motors and the lithium ion technology and the autonomous and the robotics and EFI engines. And, folks listening in, like, we're slinging mulch and making tall grass short. We don't overly nerd out about that stuff. I mean, we do like equipment, but, I'm not as passionate as an engineer, like maybe like yourself or Lenny. But man, it is really, really cool, folks, when you start seeing like, hey, people using tilt rotators and tractors and skid steers and telematics and GPS and all this kind of stuff. Like, that is all new technology to the green industry. Maybe not farming or construction, but my F14 plow has the nitrous shocks for the dampening versus a traditional oil cylinder or a hydraulic cylinder. Like, it is kind of cool. So let me ask you to go back full circle to the stuff that you're learning in college. I mean, this obviously sounds like stuff that you're passionate about, you're enjoying doing. Where do you go from here with this? Is this something that you're pursuing for your own, gain for your own company? Is it something that you want to take into a career working for a larger outfit? What's the career path for it? What are you thinking with all this?
So basically software wise, we're learning, sophomore year was basically finishing off the gen eds and all that.
Okay.
And transitioning into full-fledged designing. And
okay.
we started learning off like with AutoCAD and Adobe softwares. And, that's kind of just the building blocks. Like some of that's outdated technology, in my opinion now. Like AutoCAD's been around forever and it's changing, but it's not changing that much. And I was having a hard time, learning it because it's just a lot to comprehend all at once with, the limited time frame of a school semester. And some of the stuff I learned this summer is completely different software than the software that we traditionally used at school for sophomore year. Like there's this new stuff called Idea Spectrum and real-time architecture.
Okay.
And it's got these crazy automated designs, these drone walkthroughs. I mean, there's rumors going around about this changing landscape design software. I'm trying to get my foot into the door on that one, but it hasn't came out yet, and it's constantly changing, especially with this AI stuff. You can literally type into a search bar and it'll come up with a design like by the snap of a finger. And it's crazy what this technology can do and pump out.
Help me quantify the value add for the guys listening in that have a landscape company or thinking about getting into landscaping. What does that do for them? Like, does that save them some time or money, or maybe they're not using some old clunky software, or, and again, no shade to any other brands or companies or software. I know nothing about landscape design, arguably, folks. Like I would lean onto the Molders, the J Squared, the Caleb Almonds, but if somebody is getting into landscaping, quantify that for me, like help myself even understand, like what is all this new stuff coming down the pike doing for guys like me or other guys that are landscapers coming into this thing?
So mostly back then, like I even see it with a couple local companies. They're still doing these hand sketch drawings of here's an idea of what, your 6-figure project can look like. And these people are blowing 6 figures. Like, how crazy things are expensive, right? Like how crazy expensive things are nowadays. Like It's crazy. And people don't want to pull a trigger on, $100,000 plus designs, even $1 million designs off of, a hand sketch. And if you can have something that's dimensioned correctly, designed correctly, even has like certain time points of the day where the sunshade will kind of project on plants.
Wow.
And you can kind of see, walk through automations. That'll sell a client 1,000 times more than just a janky hand sketch or like a couple spray paint lines on your lawn, and you haven't even sealed the deal on an estimate yet. Like, okay, let me spray paint a couple, lines for this walkway. It could be this wide, it could not. I don't know. We'll see. Like some of the software, if you do it through certain, hardscape companies, I've heard of that one. You can even use their products inside the design. So you know exactly down to the block how much, material you need.
Whoa.
And
really?
It's crazy for young kids because, some kids, who are mowing lawns, they're making a few $1,000s a year. Great. Good for you. They don't want to pull the trigger on a $1,000+ software design. So I understand the frustration with not having the materials to go out and buy a software design to present to clients. But, it's good learning at a young age to not have these software systems so you can picture it in your head. So it'll make it 1,000 times easier when you put your face in front of a screen to design because you already have that image in your head that you've been used to doing for the past couple of years.
Wow. That's awesome, dude. I love it. I totally agree, by the way, because I've seen on Instagram, like different guys will have designs that you can literally walk through. Or my architect for our home that we're building right now did the same thing. They made a 3D mock-up. And at first you're like, it looks cool when you're doing the little yellow paper that's like kind of see-through, and you do like layering and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that looks cool. And then they do like the drawing sketch, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like, that looks really awesome. And then they did like the 3D visual walkthrough, and it was still pretty minimal. It wasn't like super fancy high end 3D rendering or whatever, but it was pretty good. And I'm like, dude, sold. I'm like, that looks awesome. And I'm looking at my builder and I'm like, Mike, and I'm like, is that going to be a good looking home? He goes, man, that'll be really, really nice. He goes, I know it's kind of hard to conceptualize, but I'm telling you, like, that right there is going to look awesome. And yeah, as these renderings get bigger and better and I don't know, more powerful, more robust, and even like the measuring thing, that's wild. Like imagine going to a backyard landscape job and it's like you need, 20 yards of mulch, 10 yards of rock, I don't know, 4 pallets of pavers. Again, I don't do landscaping. It's pretty obvious. But if it can quantify that and then help you have these different visuals to present to a client on what are you guys using technology-wise, like an iPad or a laptop to work with some of this stuff? Or how do you imagine this, I guess, getting communicated to the client?
So some of the kids in my major, they have like these full-fledged, monitors and massive PC systems. But my PC, it's got really good, Intel Core processor, all this crazy RAM, and it's necessary because some of these softwares have so much fill up so much storage in your computer. You need to have a pretty good PC that's high end. Sometimes touchscreen as well.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it's keyboard operated. You need these kinds of PCs to hold up the storage of the software. Because if coming from experience, a lot of kids in my major used to laugh at me because I would have AutoCAD open and then I'd try to go onto Google Earth to kind of take some, measurements off of that just as a rough end reference. And my computer would just crash.
Right.
It's hard to see that because you need a crazy computer for these new, automated softwares and all this new technology coming out. The storage is only to keep getting bigger, meaning that these computers have to pump out more, storage and have more space to fit all these softwares if you're using the computer, obviously, for some sort of design rendering.
That's awesome.
Software.
That's awesome. I love it, man. What's some different software? Like I know there's Unilock has Univision. There's a couple other great ones out there. Hey, listen, if you guys are listening in and you're yelling at your radio right now, Fullerton, we use this or this is that. Dude, shoot me an email, holler at your boy. We'll get you on the podcast and you can talk landscape design stuff too, because I'm sure there's other folks that are listening in that, most folks listening in were cutting grass and plowing snow, but I know a lot of you guys do landscaping and all this stuff. And that's something that I just don't participate in that much yet. I put a big yet because you never know where we want to go with our company. But what are some different softwares that you like or technologies out there that you like? What are you using now? And then where do you see things coming down the pike? What's the future?
So what I've noticed, a lot of companies that I looked at, we had an internship career fair at my school. A lot of them will still use, the Adobe applications like Photoshop, Illustrator, all under the same application called Adobe. And then a lot of them will use, for rough end dimensioning, AutoCAD, and then transition that into Adobe. Some people who are, just full-fledged landscape contractors, not even architects, they will use, like you said, the Unilock software. There's even a TechnoBlock one.
Okay.
And those are the ones that have the hardscape material, down to a science. When you dimension stuff correctly, you need a 250 square foot patio. You need 2 pallets and 3 rows. It makes it so much easier for cost and budgeting.
That's
for
awesome.
These clients, I know exactly that I'm going to need X amount of dollars from you for these pavers, and it's going to make the client want to pull the trigger on you much more efficiently than a landscaper who wouldn't have the software.
So you're looking at technology like many people should be, is that it can accent and help and grow and work for you to help you make more money, make better margins, have better measurements. Are these some of the takeaways that you're kind of recognizing with software and all the tech coming down the road?
Yeah. So especially for even coming down to your landscape designers and your contractors who are working for you, they can better comprehend the landscape you were envisioning when you did a walkthrough with the clients. They weren't there when you went to go do the design and the rough layout and the walkthroughs with the client. But when you have stuff down to the nearest square foot and exactly where things are placed, and you take grade into account, the contractor and designer can better create a picture perfect landscape, just like the software rendering you produced. Do
you think that's going to be a common sense, obvious question answer is, do you think that'll differentiate guys that are doing that versus aren't doing that? But more so, let me ask you this. How much of a difference do you think that's going to differentiate those companies between the next decade, offering landscape solutions like this from somebody who is just you know what, I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I'm not going to learn. I've been freehanding for 20 years, man. That's, I've been selling pretty good. Do you think that it really will make that big of a difference or a split from guys that will be adopting technology, including design software, versus guys that, quote unquote, will get lost in history with that?
Yeah. So companies that are, up and coming and, referencing off of these software designs, like, okay, I completely agree with the hand drawn. Like, I've seen some landscape architects who, got their major before all this software came out, and their hand sketches are like even nicer than the bird's eye view of the designs that we do on the software. Like, their hand sketching is, picture perfect. Like, it is 100% like quality. And all these new companies that are, coming out, they're going to be used to the software. I mean, it even comes down to just wanting to use technology just in general. Like, my generation has, had an iPhone in their hand for, 5+ years at least. And having just to log on to a computer is more convenient than kids, pulling out a notebook, drawing on a piece of paper. Like, it's so easy for kids nowadays to navigate through technology because we've been so used to it growing up with it. And these companies will start using this, automated technology, and you can have these, walkthroughs and these drone shot views that you can just see through your computer screen.
Wow.
It's so much more convenient than seeing, a bird's eye plan on a piece of paper, and you can have all these, like I said, dimensionings. You can even see the water ripples in some of these automated designs. Like, it comes down to that too. Like, it's crazy.
That's awesome. That is freaking crazy. Yeah. And I'm just thinking to myself, I love what you just said there. All this iPhone generation stuff, and maybe that's the 20 to 35-year-old crowd, like maybe the millennials or whatever you want to call it. Like, they are starting to get older. They are hopefully, going to start making some more money and have some more money. It's not, that's a whole nother economic conversation with the Gen Xers and the boomers. But let's say, they're going to start turning 30s and 40s, and they had that second home, or whatever, they upgrade to that newer second home. It's the 4,000 square foot, 4-bed, 4-bath. They got 2.2 kids and a little golden retriever named Rex. These will be the folks that want to spend that 30, 50, 100, 200 grand on their landscaping. And so you almost have to remind yourself maybe that top-down bird's eye view sketch. And I'm thinking right off the top of my head, Jeremy Connect with JJ Grounds. Dude, I did a shop tour with him, and he covered how he makes his sketch in about a 3-minute window, hand drawing all of his designs. That dude is like a 10 out of 10 with hand drawn designs. Now, outside of Jeremy, quick asterisk there because he's the exception, not the rule. Outside of Jeremy, once you start talking to that millennial generation, I love what you said, James. That's going to be not a harder sell. It's just you have to communicate differently to them. And I don't know if that same drawing, besides Jeremy Connect's design, I don't know if that same pen and paper, bird's eye view, drafting paper design is going to communicate as well or effectively to somebody who's lived on an iPad and an iPhone since they've been 10 years old. So you have to change with the times, including your presentation style. And you might be logging an iPad from job site or sales call to sales call, where 5-10 years ago, pulling up with a 3-ring binder with some laminated sheets of your last 10 jobs used to do the trick. I know for a fact we're going with our pole barn builder right now. We sat at Panera for 3 hours, and you see real time, it get bigger, smaller, taller, changing the colors, the landscape design. He has little 3D renderings of a lawnmower or a truck or a camper that we put inside the barn. So real time, you could see what would fit in there. I mean, that was on a little, Samsung tablet notebook thing. And I'm like, this is so awesome versus getting, if he would have laid blueprint plans down with me, I would have been like, dude, this guy is not with the times. Hate it or like it, good or bad. Maybe he could have educated me out of my ignorance, but I would have been versus the iPad guy, changing this design real time. I don't know, that's who I probably would have went with. Just being an average consumer, pulling the trigger on something. You got anything to add to that one, James?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's completely true regarding, times are changing, in a good way with that designing, and people are taking and using technology, to their advantage with these designs. There's so many awful things you can do with technology. I mean, that AI stuff can be so scary right now. I mean, I've heard stuff about scammers, yada, yada, but
sure,
if you can use that AI, and the just high-end software systems to sell these clients. There's nothing better seeing than these crazy automated walkthroughs and all of these different designs that you can produce. And the changing and the editing is so much easier on a computer than, say, a client's like, I don't want these, bushes here, and this shrubbery and ground cover is not good right here. Why don't we switch it over here?
Sure.
You can delete it quickly on the computer and re-edit it, compared to a paper drawing where, I got to go back and erase it, or I got to redraw the entire thing. And it took me 10 hours to do.
Right.
And I'm barely getting paid for that.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So,
yeah.
Landscaping and hardscaping, from an outside looking in, can be intimidating or challenging enough. But use the technology is what it sounds like. The macro conversation here is use technology. And we've all said this on our podcast. Many podcasts say the same thing, but press in, don't shun it. Look at how this can help enhance your company and to mitigate some of those concerns or some of those problems or some of those fears as you maybe venture into uncharted territory. But I love everything you're sharing, man. This is really, really good stuff. Let me my final question, just we could always talk more about this as you continue through your education. We'll get you back on year over year, give us the latest and greatest, But
I love that.
I would say we'll throw an honorarium to University of Mass, and we'll save everybody listening in $50,000 in tuition. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, literally, I could tell you the entire program in about an hour.
Well, don't share this with your professor. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, no, they would not be happy.
They would not be. I'm sure I get a cease and desist letter tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, same thing here.
Hey, look, there's a university over there. We got our own academy. Let me ask you this. I want to ask two questions, and this one just was another spur of the thought. Caleb Allman, do you listen to Kid Contractor podcast? You ever heard of Caleb Allman?
No, but I do follow him on my landscape Instagram page, and I see his content all the time.
Yeah, okay, great dude. He's like one of my go-to landscape guys. His opinion is, training and education courses, contracts. Like we've got Launchpreneur Academy. There's Tigran with Goat Gang. There's this guy with that. The Allmans have the Hardscape Academy. Like Caleb, one of his go-to lines is in the next 5-10 years, he believes like resources and education like that will probably trump a lot of the trades and more traditional schooling. What's your thoughts on some of that? No right or wrong answer, no good or bad. I'm just curious, like, do you see like peer-to-peer led education and training being as valuable or more valuable than a traditional education system?
I mean, it's completely like what we're referencing, this entire conversation, this technology stuff, having these online training programs and in-person stuff like what you guys do with your Launchpreneur Academy and the, Hardscape Academy, where you can go in person and learn.
Yeah.
These like videos that in these Instagram reels, especially this new trending topic that Instagram has, the reels.
Yes.
People can just scroll through and constantly learn, like whether it's like a 15-second video or a link to their website. And you can even pay, I know, like you said, Tigran has his Goat Gang, a couple $100 to learn value of guys with 30 years plus of experience with their $1 million companies is so much more valuable in my mindset than, I'm the mindset of an entrepreneur like you, like everyone listening, than, having a professor who has, doesn't have experience owning a business and just wants to pump out good workers for corporations.
Right.
This is going to be so much more crucial and so much more cost effective. And like you said, ROIs, the return on investment you'd have, regarding spending a few grand to learn like $1 million worth of sales, like in a couple hours and a couple pages of, people's jotted notes they've written down in their chat feeds is so much more valuable than, going to school for 4 whole years to get a piece of paper that sometimes, same thing like you were saying, entrepreneurs, you don't need a piece of paper to start that. You just got to have a good mindset on what you want to focus on, especially a niche thing. So if you can find a person to pay, max a couple grand for with their academy to learn the values of their niche, trade they're going into, it's going to pay off in the long run so much more than, trying to get that piece of paper for 4 whole years when you could be focusing on your business during those early years.
Yeah. No, dude, honestly, I couldn't say it any better. There's Andy Mulder, for example, his Sunday night live streams.
Yeah. I listen to all the time.
Yeah. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, this is for free? Like how?
Yeah, for free. It's crazy.
That's what always gets me. I'm like, and respectfully, I had somebody leave a YouTube comment on a video the other day because I talked snow contracts. And I said, you can get the commercial and residential plow contract at Launchpreneur Academy. I said, I think we got a bundle deal. It's like $179. And the dude wrote like a 3-paragraph complaint. I can't believe you're charging for this. You should be giving this away for free if you really cared about people, if you really cared about your followers. And I was like, bro, I was like, I wrote him 3 paragraphs back because that's how I work. So I dismantled everything he said because I wasn't trying to be a jerk, but I was like, dude, respectfully, either you're ignorant or you're just a taker. But I said, regardless, I said, why don't you go hire a lawyer to go draft contracts who is going to charge you $300 to $500 an hour? You're going to be, easily. You're going to be $2,500 into this thing and not even have any industry specific knowledge that lawyer is going to have to make agreements for what we do. I said, you're $5,000 in to have good contracts and agreements. I mean, ours are plug and play. You're 95% of the way there. Go take it to him after for $150, $300 retainer or $500 retainer and let him go churn and burn for 2 hours. Personalize them for you and your market and your city and your state, county, country, province. I don't care. But I was like, you're out of your mind. And I said, by the way, you take these agreements and you can go make millions of dollars literally tomorrow. I was like, and again, if he didn't know that, that's fine. And I always give people the benefit of a doubt. I've learned to love on people first and not react with like bashing people because,
Yeah, I'm trying to get better at that too.
we're all trying to get better at that, but it's just like, Amen. I was just like, how are you just ignorant? Are you just ungrateful? I'm like, thank God they're only $200 and not $2,000. If Troy Clark
and you're paying time, it's coming out of your time to design and write out this, so you're not working for free either. Right. And in the long run, $170, these lawn care, and snow contracts. I mean, I'll admit it. When I was 14 years old, I used your free lawn care write up estimate sheet that I would go around every year, and it worked perfectly. Like, I couldn't even tell you I'm forever in debt to you for pumping that out and posting that on your Instagram page a couple of years ago, because it helps so much. And the snow contract, I can't even tell you how much money's in that right now for the Northeast and that stuff. It's so worth it in the long run. Yeah, I
just want to hear your thoughts. And again, I don't have any agenda. If you could tell me, hey, I think all your academies are dumb and they're useless and traditional schools where it's at, dude, I'd be like, awesome. That's your experience. That's your message. Like, bro, I just love to compare and contrast because I think just from me personally, like I've went to and studied, I bought so many courses and programs, dude, not even related to lawn care landscaping. I mean, Liz and I buy, when we were having kids, we, breastfeeding courses and birthing classes to drone stuff to parenting stuff lately, homeschooling courses and curriculum. And then people are going to go, oh, well, you didn't pay $50,000 for that, so it can't be legit because you didn't go to college for 4 years for it. And I'm like, dude, if you think that's how information is disseminated in 2023, like, bro, you're living under a rock. Like,
exactly.
It's just insane to me. But again, that being said, I knowing that both your parents are going to be listening to this, and I don't want to get an email either. Hey, college is great too, man. And that was the only arguable way besides the trades for you to learn boots on the ground info, maybe 20, 30, and 40 years ago. And the world's changed. I did a podcast episode, probably almost the same time last year. It was called A Message for the Parents. And I just said, like, dude, the way your kids learn today is not the way you learned 20 years ago. And you got to knock it off. And I say that like as lovingly, as respectfully as possible. But I'm like, the kids that are coming out of high school that you guys are all listening into the show, all of you guys, like, you are America's like hope. And I said, like, all these kids, 100%. I said, all these kids coming out of college, respectfully, besides maybe yourself, like the good ones, I said, they're all coming out like little liberal commie bastards. And I'm like, they have no work ethic. They haven't held a job for 4 or 5 years. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm just like, what, so I played the whole like, hey, look, we're crystal clear, Liz and I, with what we're doing with our kids and encouraging them for their career path and their future. But college is not a major conversation in anything we're doing. Now, not education. They're going to be very educated littles, but they're going to get it, spoon fed the traditional way. You're out of your mind. Like,
yeah,
that system's 100 years old. Like, that's what do they say? Homeschooling isn't the experiment. Public schools is the experiment. Like,
yep, exactly.
Yeah. So there was a really good reel that came out about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. And it's like, Dude, traditional education is the experiment, not homeschooling. So I'll kind of leave that one there. But so that was one of my two wrap-up thoughts. Last one, and not to take your whole afternoon here, but let me ask you this. Where do people get started on this whole conversation? I know you're going the traditional route. Ironically enough, we were just weighing pros and cons of both sides. But maybe somebody's 17, 18, 20 years old. Maybe they're 28 years old, and they're into a year or two, and they want to start looking at some landscaping stuff. You're learning as you're going through this too, but you're probably our most boots on the ground example of somebody learning this real time. Where would you encourage people to start, whether it's a course, a program, a certain brand, software? No endorsement here, but where would people start if you could give some encouragement?
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. No endorsements. But I will say one thing to go. Gary Vee, he had a great quote saying to this one guy who, on, again, a reel, something that sold me in my mind, a reel, saying, it's never too late to start. Like, literally, there's these kids who are like in their late 20s. They're like, I failed. I never did anything throughout my 20s. I graduated. I don't know where I'm going. I'm kind of just looping around in a circle, trying something, not trying something, and it's failing. It is literally mentally, it's such a mental game. Like, I can't tell you how many days I'll come home from work saying, I don't know how I'm going to, jump from, point A to point B. And I don't know how I'm going to kind of introduce this designing stuff, into my business. I will say one thing, that you need to just be patient, and you need to constantly study, and not study on a textbook. Like, go onto these programs. I can't emphasize the importance of these online programs, like what you're doing with the Launchpreneur Academy, and learn from other people who have done this, their successes, their fails, and overall how the average person in an average area can be successful in the designing industry. And also just to look on like YouTube, like it's that easy. Like, some of my friends, we would, in my major, we would be like, I don't know how to, render this design. I'm just going to look up on YouTube these, changes that I need to make in order to, pump out this design. You can do stuff as simple as that. Like, you can look up, tutorials. These tutorial videos will pay off so much, because that's the foundation, the building blocks for this designing. You can just, start out with AutoCAD, work your way up to, Adobe software. Nothing's too crazy either in the money, but I see 1,000 guys who will also start, an Instagram page, and these Instagram reels. It's so I only do Instagram reels for my landscape Instagram page, because you can have sweet transitions, and it can sell people on, hey, this is really cool. Maybe I should look into doing something like this, because it's a 15-second short video. All these people have, short spanned minds, and they can, just flip through their phone. And if you sell them on this 15-second video, it can interest them into going into design and going into, some niche category. And I will say, if you focus on those small software systems, AutoCAD, Adobe, you can work your way up. Some even, like the idea spectrum that I threw out there. That's so much easier in terms of learning the design. It's going to cost a pretty penny, but like we both said, it's going to pay off in the long run if you're going to use it, for 10 plus years. But, technology is constantly changing. So I can't guarantee anything that, will happen with the software systems for landscape designing. For all I know, I could lose my job because AI could take over, my designing, and that would suck. But if you're looking into designing, definitely, go that route. But if you're also looking into the, the build aspect, watch, YouTube videos. Like, I would be 14 years old watching YouTube videos of you, with your landscaping stuff. And I couldn't, explain how, important it is to try to find something that interests you. And, you could be on YouTube, you could be on TikTok looking at, dumb dances and all that stuff. Or you could be looking at YouTube, like, how can I, make money? How can I be successful? How can I start in a certain way? And, a lot of young kids choose the lawn care route. I had 1,000 kids in my neighborhood. It's like, oh yeah, I mow 10 lawns. I mow 12 lawns. But what can you do to stand out from the others without, killing yourself time-wise and, wasting your entire life away on just one thing? But you can find ways to kind of make it work on a, a slower spectrum and then build your way up. But like I said, those couple points I listed off there, I know I'm kind of jumbling all around
No, you're good.
all around the place, but I would definitely say try those certain routes. Like, they can work really well, and, just find something that interests you in terms of the design world, like whether it's a hand sketch or the software. It's 1,000 different things, and that's the beauty of it.
I love it, man. I mean, honestly, Couldn't have said it better. I love listening to your passion. I love listening to guys like Caleb Allman's passion. There's so many other great folks out there. And, there's hundreds of people that, like you said, that come up on my Instagram feed and I follow you guys back and all this stuff. And I'm just like, dude, that's awesome. And I'm in awe from the pre-work that you guys do to get the base and the layers and all this other mess and the excavation to halfway through. And then also the finished product. I message, oh my God, who is Josh Sutton's friend over there in Kansas and Missouri over with them? Oh my God, I can't even think of his name. Scheller.
Oh yeah,
Greg Scheller.
Yeah.
I'm watching Scheller every day. I'm watching the Suttons every day. Like, you got your Fab Five, because that's how Instagram works. But like, I got the same 5-10 guys, and I'm just like, and then I message them all. I'm like, hey, dude, how much is that? Hey, how much is that? Hey, how much is that? Because I'm that guy that'll ask the awkward, tacky question. Because I don't care. I don't have a filter. I don't care. Like, you guys ask me questions, I'll tell you anything about anything. I don't care because I'm tired of fake people, facade people that beat around the bush people. So I'm like, hey, if it's $200,000, just tell me it's $200,000. Like, I don't. Well, it just depends. Like, I don't care. Just tell me what it was. And then, because I'm selfishly trying to understand like what I need to eventually save up and spend for my backyard, because I want to do something cool like all of you guys freaking do and have, because I want to get mine just like you guys got yours.
Yep.
I'm a real human being. Like, I want to have a cool backyard patio and have the awesome paver steps going to the front door. And frankly, I just don't have the time or the bandwidth to learn how to do all that. So of course, I'm going to hire somebody out to do that for me, just like somebody hires me to take care of stuff for them. So it's just fun stuff. Exactly. But no, dude, I super appreciate all the thoughts, all the insight. You got a great thing going on, man. Respectfully, I'd love to just keep an open invite. Like, if you want to do something, we'll talk again over winter. Maybe we'll get the semi-annual update and get the latest and greatest, man. But I just want to say thanks for taking time out of your day to be on the show. I know we got, almost an hour, but thanks for taking time to be on the show today, sharing your thoughts. I know you had a bunch of stuff that you want to value add to these guys, and I think you did a really good job, man. So any final thoughts there? But just want to say thanks again for taking time to be on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. One thing with me, I don't know how my school, schedule is going to be. I'm really trying to do the equipment exposition or something like that, where I can meet up with a bunch of guys that I look up to, or my mentors, kind of like you. And I definitely would say, if you want to look into stuff I'm doing, I'm going to start taking on more design gigs and that stuff. You can definitely follow my landscape Instagram page at Waltson Outdoor Design. Got a bunch of cool reels that I'm doing. And I'm looking into getting some design gigs, while I'm at school, learning other, cool softwares, and definitely just follow your passion. I can't express to you how grateful I am with my parents, pushing me towards the direction I wanted to go to and being so encouraging, because I would definitely not be here today without them. And I definitely would say, keep an open mind. Like, I constantly will say, I'm going to stick to this one thing. But as time is changing and technology is changing, you have to adapt those changes too. So definitely, keep your mind open, get into the design world if you want to do that. Constantly look at YouTube videos, watch a bunch of stuff, start from the hand sketches, work your way up, and definitely get an Instagram page out there. Connecting on Instagram is so, crucial for, finding changes and how I can, innovate on certain, aspects of my business. It's crazy, the world that we live in, and you can use technology to your advantage. That's all I got to say.
I love it, brother. One more time, do me a solid, because everybody's got car audio and people got their mowers going on in the background. But where can they find you again on Instagram? And spell your last name. That way they got you.
Yeah, sure. So it's not Watson. Everyone loves to say that.
That's what I was going to say.
Waltson. It's Waltson Outdoor Design, WALSTON. Would love to, follow you back and, love to have a conversation. I literally live for this kind of stuff.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, dude, keep it going, keep growing, man. Keep hustling out there. And not only for the next couple of years as you're finishing up this chapter, but excited to see where you go from here on out, man. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And hope to keep in touch as many more years to come. And we'll see what you want to take this thing with, running your own business, working with somebody else at some awesome, great landscape company, I'm sure. And we'll keep our finger on the pulse and hear the latest and greatest from you. All right.
Dude, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. This means a lot.
Dude, absolutely, brother. Well, hopefully we'll see you at Equip or LAL or somewhere on the highways and byways, or maybe next time I'm cruising through Massachusetts or Albany, New York, I'm sure we'll be linking up before you know it, man. So, all right. Well, that's what I got for you on today's podcast episode. That's what James got for you guys. We just laid it all on the line for you. Super appreciate you guys listening in. Hey, if you guys enjoy the show, I would encourage you to, here's the last thing I'll say. Hit that plus sign in the top right corner or whatever, or the follow button on your podcast player. That way you guys are notified anytime we drop a new podcast show. Also, leave us a rating and review. Hopefully 5-star. I always say if you think it's so worthy that we would be graced with your guys' 5-star presence and a couple sentence review, letting the other folks know real time. Hey, it's a good podcast. It's got a great value add and real helpful and exciting, passionate conversation. Let other folks know. If it's helping you guys out. Don't keep it a secret. This thing grows organically, and I really appreciate you guys helping us get the word out and continue to help the podcast grow. All right, guys. Well, that's what we got over here for today at the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast Studios, a.k.a. my daughter's nursery, until we actually have our actual podcast room one day at the house. It's coming down the pike before you know it. But over now, guys, we will look forward to catching up with all of y'all here on the next one.
Early bird registration ends September 7th. Start planning today to celebrate the 40th Equip Exposition Trade Show this October 17th through the 20th in Louisville, Kentucky. Expo is the best place for landscapers to find the latest equipment, tools, and technology to get more productive and efficient. And then you can go into our 30-acre demo yard and test the products for yourself. Explore new business opportunities in one of our 50-plus education sessions and learn firsthand from experts in landscaping, hardscaping, irrigation, pool installation, tree care, and outdoor lighting. And don't miss the new Thursday night arena concert with Third Eye Blind and Dylan Scott. Also, there's our UTV test track and our main stage events with top-notch speakers like Brian Fullerton, all for just $25 per person if you register during our early bird sale. And you can even save 50% off that price with the coupon code BRIAN. The early bird registration ends September 7th.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.